What's going on, guys? It's Clutch Plays here, and today we are back with another video on 5 New York Knicks draft prospects. We did one of these back in November, but a lot has changed with the Knicks and the draft class as a whole. So many different prospects have been on the rise at positions that the Knicks need, which is a very good thing. On top of this, a rumor came out saying that the Knicks are looking to draft a scoring point guard in the lottery of this upcoming draft, so they can finally have a true point guard for the first time since Raymond Felton back in 2013. Seems like the Knicks are finally doing something right, but with something good that comes out about the Knicks, there is always a negative. In this situation, Mike Miller is planning on playing the vets and going for wins, which will hurt our draft odds significantly, so much so that it's looking like we will drop from the 5th best odds to at least the 8th best odds if nothing changes. This will put our odds at a top 4 pick from 42% to 26%, which is a 16% decrease. This draft class has some very good players towards the top, but after the 9th pick or so, the draft drops off so much that there is barely any difference between the 10th pick and the 20th pick. Hopefully we don't get stuck with a lottery pick in the double digits because of Mike Miller's coaching, and at this point, as good as Mike Miller has been, I would want the Knicks to fire him right now and implement a developmental coach for the rest of the season. Unless, of course, Mike actually gets a brain and plays the young guys. Getting a top 7 pick in this draft at least is huge because with a brand new front office, the Knicks are going to be huge sellers during the time of the draft. Players like Alfred, DSJ, Frank, Julius Randle, hopefully, and Kevin Knox are all going to be on the trade block and will probably be used to get picks from other teams or to move up in the draft to get our franchise building block. In this draft, we will have a late first round pick from the Clippers, an early second round pick from the Hornets, and a lottery pick to pick some players. But in this video, we're going to be focusing on the players that the Knicks could take with their lottery selection. Before I get into the video though, some of you guys have already found out, but I did start another channel solely for the purpose of the NBA draft called Clutch Hoops. On this channel, I'm planning on doing mock drafts, prospect rankings, trade possibilities, and so much more. So if you guys want to learn more about the top prospects in the NBA draft, make sure you check it out. This will obviously be my #1 channel no matter what happens, and I wanted to keep this channel solely Knicks content, so I decided to create this new channel. Subscribe if you guys want, and I'd really appreciate it if you do. Now with that out of the way, let's get into the 5 New York Knicks draft prospects 2.0. Number 1, Lamelo Ball. Lamelo has one of the most unique games, and the best way to describe it is backyard basketball. He is very crafty and will make some passes that we may think are risky, but they're just routine for him. Lamelo Ball averaged 17.7 rebounds and 7 assists per game in 31 minutes in Australia as an 18-year-old. As he continued to play in Australia, he improved so much, and in his final 4 games, he averaged 24 points and 9 assists. He can score pretty easily, but more importantly, his passing instincts and abilities are elite and maybe even better than his brother already. The brother we're talking about is Alonzo, not Liangelo. Lamelo has a great feel for the game of basketball and understands how to control the game with his pick and roll game, creativity, and live dribble. In a half-court setting, Lamelo has all the dribble moves you could think of, can finish around the rim relatively well with his length, and changes speed very well. On top of this, he is 6'7" and still 18 years old and said to be growing. This frame and length for a point guard is huge because it makes getting off his shot, passing, and defending so much easier in the NBA. As tantalizing a prospect he may be, he has not been the most efficient shooter in the NBL as he shoots about 40% from the field, has a pretty terrible shot selection, and plays with very little effort on the defensive side of the ball. Lamelo has wanted to be a New York Knick as seen by him dropping little hints about the Knicks, like for example saying his favorite colors are orange and blue around Christmas time, and just a couple other things he said on Twitter. His scoring, craftiness, and playmaking is exactly what the Knicks need with their first round pick this year, and with good coaching, Lamelo has the chance to become a true superstar. He's the most talented player in the draft, and if the Knicks have the chance to take him, then they need to pull the trigger. Number 2, Cole Anthony. I know many of you guys are hesitant about Cole because of his shooting percentages and low assist numbers, but playing at North Carolina has not been the best thing for him. His supporting cast does not fit his game whatsoever, and the big men clog the paint and barely give him any space to operate on the interior. He's doubled on every single pick and roll, and it's kinda sad to see how much help people are giving to him because his teammates can't do anything else. Since this is the case, Cole has had to rely on his jumper and 3-point shot so much more. With all that said, Cole has still averaged 19 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists in 34 minutes per game. He scores very easily off the dribble, changes speeds off dribble moves very well, and can knock down jump shots. He may be best in transition and in the open court, as he has the ball in his string and can get from one end to the other very quickly. One place where he really impressed NBA scouts was at the Nike Academy, as he went toe-to-toe with NBA players and showed he could compete with some of the NBA's best as a high schooler. Cole has been very successful everywhere he's played, but he's so much more efficient and better when he has talent surrounding him. At North Carolina, he's had low assist numbers, and it's not that he can't really create shots for his teammates, rather his teammates have trouble converting the shots. He does have tunnel vision at times and needs to improve his court vision, but when he's playing with better players, he's been 10 times better. For example, in the McDonald's All-American game, he won the MVP, scoring 14 points with 7 assists in 21 minutes, and in the Nike Hoop Summit game, he had 25 points and 8 assists. This is all against the top prospects in this year's draft and demonstrates that he will be effective when playing with and against better players. Finally, his toughness and motor is unmatched and by far the best in the entire NBA draft. His toughness, mentality, and aggressiveness is exactly what the Knicks and the city of New York needs. He's a New York native and his dad played for the Knicks, so the fit would be perfect. Number 3, Killian Hayes. Killian Hayes is one of the most underrated NBA draft prospects, as he's gone under the radar playing in Germany. He is 18 years old, playing professional basketball in the EuroLeague, where he averages 13 points and 6 assists in 26 minutes per game. To put this into perspective, Frank Ntilikina averaged 5 points and 1 assist playing in a very similar league before being drafted 9th overall by the Knicks. Killian is 6'5" and will have no trouble defending the top guards of the NBA, and uses his size to overpower smaller defenders. His offensive game is very developed already and still has a ton of potential to grow. He facilitates very well off ball screens and has been very effective at creating space off of stepbacks when coming off of screens or in one-on-one situations. His niftiness with the ball in his hands and other offensive skills allows him to create offense for the other people around him, since he doesn't have elite athleticism. Being very young, Killian is very left-hand dominated and will settle for outside shots when attacking the rim with his right hand. Also, his intensity on the defensive side of the ball and play off the ball needs to improve, but these questions are relatively fixable. These concerns about his game will take some time, but it is the reason he's known as one of the biggest projects in the NBA draft. The Knicks need a point guard to take over the show, and as of right now, the Knicks have the time to develop Killian. The only reason I'm not as high on him for the Knicks is because the Knicks are not the most patient with rookies, and they would really have to develop Killian in the early years. I hope they are willing to develop him, but the Knicks have been very impatient in the past few years with rookies, such as Frank, Kevin, and much more. The regression of the second-year players this year hasn't been all that good too, so I'm not too high on the Knicks development staff, so that's also another reason I'm not completely there yet. Number 4, Anthony Edwards. Now, Anthony Edwards is not a point guard, but he is the best player in the 2020 NBA draft class. He averages 19 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists per game on 40% from the field in 32 minutes. These stats are pretty incredible, especially with opposing teams putting tons of help on him. So much so that opponents feel they need to run box and one on him, because as long as they can prevent him from scoring, Georgia stands no chance. Anthony Edwards has a very smooth shooting stroke and can score at all 3 levels with ease. He's got all the physical intangibles that you want in a shooting guard, as he's 6'5" with a 6'9" wingspan, extremely athletic, 225 pounds of pure muscle, and explosive. These physical traits give him the potential to be a top defender at the next level, as long as he commits himself 100% of the time. One of the biggest positives about him as a prospect is that he is extremely young and will still be 18 by the time he's drafted. The reason that his age is so big is because there are so many holes in his game that will hopefully get better with more time against top level competition. For example, his decision making is very questionable at times when it comes to shot selection, and he doesn't have the highest basketball IQ. With more time in college and experience in the NBA, these things should start to improve. The Knicks would be able to shift RJ to the 3 and pair Anthony Edwards next to him to create a very young, explosive, and talented NBA duo to take the league by force. Even though the Knicks still don't have their future point guard, Anthony Edwards plays best with the ball in his hands and facilitates well for his teammates. With many great point guards in the 2021 draft like Jalen Suggs and Cade Cunningham, drafting Anthony Edwards would still be a good idea. Number 5, Tyrese Maxey. Thinks he's deserving of a top 10 pick, but CBS and Takeathon and a few other draft big boards have him as a late first round pick. I'm torn. Tell me what you guys thought about these top 5 New York Knicks draft prospects and what player you guys want the Knicks to draft. There are a lot of different options right now, and if I had the choice to choose, I'd say the Knicks need to take either Lamelo Ball or Cole Anthony 100%. Also, if you guys want to keep up with the top draft prospects and the draft as a whole, make sure you guys check out the link in the description of my other channel, Clutch Hoops. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and now I'm out, and peace!